what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Writer's Block. I'm your host, Noah Black, and today I have an awesome guest with me. Today, he is the frontman and vocalist for the band State of Illusion. They currently have over 35,000 followers across all social media platforms. They've been killing the rock game for over or almost 20 years now. I don't mean to age you too totally much or anything like that, but uh, but man, I'm so excited to have this guy on, incredibly talented vocalist, and man, just have the privilege of having Jacob Porter from State of Illusion on. So man, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So even though we haven't had a ton of personal connection together, one of the how we kind of met in passing would have been in 2018 at White Rabbit Pub, and I believe that's Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm not entirely sure. I could be wrong about that, but
It was.
good. Okay, good. My memory serves me right. So, but my former band, Embrace the Forever at the time, was able to open up for you guys, Venus and Vicus, and are really good friends in Reason to Find. And so, I just remember watching your guys' performance and just being blown away. And I mean, I'm gonna touch on it a little bit more here in just a second, but just your powerhouse of a voice. I know you'll be super humble about that and everything, but I mean, incredibly talented vocalist, just your consistency and everything like that. And so now being able to keep up with y'all's journey has just been so much fun for me to watch on the outside looking in. And so, so yeah, I just want to dive right in and just talk about a little bit of your journey, uh, getting into music. Like what was initially what sparked your interest into getting into music, kind of leading up to where you guys are now.
Yeah. Thank you. Um, yeah. So, what sparked me into like really wanting to create my own music was listening to bands like Cold and like Stained and Seether. When I was in probably middle school, because before that I was really just listening to like whatever my folks were playing on the radio, which was like Elton John,
Right.
which I love. I'm not like I love Elton John,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then you know, and on my own it was only like Backstreet Boys and stuff like that. And then when I heard like rock for the first time, I like heard Creed, but that kind of Creed graduated me into like the harder rock, like the post grunge thing that was starting to come around in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that just yeah, hearing those guys made me want to write my own music and learn how to play guitar and learn how to well, I didn't learn how to sing, but I wanted to back then. So that's like I learned later, but
Right.
at, just because I wanted to. So yeah, that made me start my first band, Lost Cause, with some friends in like probably 2004, and then 2005 we figured it was my brother and I, we figured we wanted to do like a more of just like a rock, like metal thing, something more modern than what we were like the
Yeah.
guys playing with in Lost Cause really liked the 80s, and we really liked, at the time what was like modern rock, so we split up. They did an 80s thing, and that was awesome, and we're all still buddies today. And we went and did State of Illusion. And yeah, I think it was late November or early December, 05 would have been when we played our first
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, man.
No,
Bryce,
that's
my
awesome though.
drum my drummer likes to remind me that I started State of Illusion when he was two. No, what year was he born? No, I started State of Illusion when he was 5. Is what he like. So
Likes to
yeah,
rub that in.
he likes to run. I'm not the oldest in the band, I'll say that.
Not throwing anybody under the bus or anything.
Yeah, not him names, but his name rhymes with Shandon.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But it's what's really cool too is to because I'm sure over that time, because you guys' first album came out, would it have been at least as far as what's on like a distribution and stuff, it was like
Oh,
2014,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Aphelion. Yeah. So we had we did do two full lengths before that.
Right.
They were very rough. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right. But I think what's really cool about that is seeing the process from, obviously there's so much growth that happened from 2005 to 2014, of course,
mhm,
but being able to see the processes of how you guys do create.
mhm,
And one of the cool things that I enjoy watching, especially like from you guys, but just artists in general, like giving the behind the scenes of how they create their songs. Because a lot of times there's this almost like mysticism that comes with songwriting of like, this band put out this hit song and it just kind of is there, and you would
yeah,
like, I love being able to see the like behind the scenes VH1 behind the music type stuff from back in the day. And you guys very, very much do that, like giving the processes. And if you're watching or listening, you absolutely need to go subscribe to State of Illusions YouTube, because I mean, you guys document all that. And so, was that something that as you grew up, is that something you were kind of captivated you of your favorite bands and artists of being able to see how they created everything?
absolutely. Yeah, I love like watching the creative process and um like I told you in take one, I love watching like any especially my favorites, you
Yeah.
know, their making of kind of stuff, their creation, but even like artists I don't really care for. I I'm just captivated by the process. I'm in love with the process of making music. So yeah, so we try to document as much as we can. I
Right.
document we could, you know.
Yeah.
Fortunately it's really boring when I'm just sitting in my room, you know. It's like I can't have the video recording the whole time, but
Right.
I love stuff. It's man, yeah,
Yeah.
I love the creation process.
Yeah, it's like almost seeing the processes, it almost humanizes the people that you look up to. It's like that may seem unattainable. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
they actually have struggles. Like they have like trying to figure out how to fit a melody together or how to like write a certain riff and everything. And being able to see how the like the flawed side of songwriting brings together this like beautiful composition of music. It's such a huge thing. I've noticed that in my own life of the things that inspire me most. I can think back to how a process from one of my favorite songwriters made the
mhm,
process of the way that I create music now what it is too. And so kind of hand in hand with that, talking about like your vocals and everything, how much they're, for me, what makes a lot of you guys music such a standout and so unique. Just having such a consistent vocal, like performance after performance, what in that way, similarly to that, what have been some other singers who have inspired what your singing style was when you first started, as well as you've grown as a musician over time?
yeah. Thank you, man, for the compliments, dude. Those are I work really hard for that, man. And it's really like sweet to hear you say that. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
um, yeah, early on, man, like I wanted to sound like Sean from Seether because that was one of the first ones for me, and I just loved like the rasp he had, but I could never do it.
Right.
And I think like voice wise, like listening back, I was probably most influenced by like Aaron from Stained, and melodically, I know like Scooter from Cold really had the way he like writes his melodies had a huge influence on me because they just like pull on the heartstrings, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
But like what really like turned the corner for me vocally is I remember there was a point, this would have been before Aphelion, before the 2014 album.
Mhm,
My guitar player back in the day before we split up, like he told me I was terrible. I can't we got into it for some
mhm,
reason, and he told me he said you're terrible, you're a terrible singer. And I like at first I was mad about that, and then I took it to heart, you know what I mean?
mhm,
Like
right.
what if right, because I've just been focusing on pumping out music, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I never really thought about being good or bad or anything like that. So that really stuck with me for a while. And then when we did the Aphelion album, like that it was such a chore to track the vocals for that. Uh, like it would take talk about like seeing the flaws. I mean, this one, like this album, it would take like multiple days to record one song, like vocals
Right.
for.
Yeah.
And I said after that, like something's got to change. Like I guess I just don't know how to sing. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So I sought out somebody who I really respected. I was really into Mike Semeski, who I don't know what he's most famous for. At the time, it was like I'd heard of his band called Vest Ascension, and then
mm,
he went on to join the Heart Machine, and that's I think when we connected, or maybe it was after. No, he joined Intervals, who I don't know if like you or anybody's a fan of like the prog side of
oh yeah.
things, but
Yeah.
he was the vocalist on the only album they had vocals on, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
So I reached out to him and I started taking lessons from him, and dude, it just totally changed the game for me.
Right.
Uh, so like now, what would take like 2 days or 3 days to record now takes like 30 minutes. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I owe like everything I am as a singer to the guys that inspired me and Mike for helping me like learn how to actually do it properly. Man, like
Yeah.
he's awesome. Mike Semeski.
Yeah.
He
That's awesome.
he really is.
Yeah. That's cool. And that's such a key point that I think for so many first like beginning artists or aspiring artists, like one of the biggest things that I've learned growing in music over time is how important it is to have people like that you trust, that you respect, that are going to give you honest feedback, not like the whole definition of constructive criticism. They're not just going to tell you you're trash and give you no next step. Like they're willing to break it down and they have your best interest at heart. And I'm sure that was, talking
Yeah,
about that was probably what fueled a lot of that for you, what helped you the most. And so having a team of people who do have your best interest and want to see you succeed, want to see you get better,
yeah.
I think is such a crucial thing. Would you say to that was a big thing that he kind of gave to you?
Oh, absolutely, man. Like it's you can't always take criticism. You can't always take it to heart. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
sometimes doing your own thing. You know what I mean? Or sometimes somebody might say something, but they just want to be like the smartest guy in the room or whatever.
yeah,
And then you can't take every positive comment to heart either. So you got to find
right.
somebody. You got to find somebody that is going to be straight up, with you and go like, what you're doing is, I know what you want to be,
Yeah,
right? And I think there's this thing that can help you do that, and
yeah,
Mike was like instrumental in guiding me to that thing. And I'm still taking lessons from him, by the way. I have one tomorrow,
yeah. That's awesome.
yeah, he's man, yeah, he's the best. And yeah, 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 definitely take take consider every comment that somebody makes to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, is this a constructive comment, positive or
yeah.
negative? And how can I use that? That's kind of what I
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. And one of the things you
look at.
said about him is he was somebody that you respected. And so if
Yeah.
it's somebody that you look up to, you're going to respect the feedback that they give you. And I think like you said, it's almost like there's two ends of the spectrum. There's the you suck just because of, insecurity, jealousy, whatever, but then you have the like really, really bad singers that end up on American Idol that say, "Well, everybody at my karaoke bar said I was the best singer in the world."
Right.
And so finding that happy middle of like they they support what I do, and like you said, he sees what you're trying to go for and
Hmm.
wants you to be the best version of that possible. So I think that's huge. And I mean, the amount of shows that you guys do in State of Illusion, and I'm sure having that vocal coach too over the years, it getting like those consistent reps in, it continues to make your voice stronger. Because I mean, you guys are doing lots and lots of shows pretty consistently, and so because of that, what's been some of your highlights from? I know the songwriting side of things is incredibly fun and is awesome, but when you get into doing shows, what are some big like highlights that you think of whenever you think back on all the shows that you guys have done so far?
Dude, yeah, there've been there've been a lot of highlights, and there are a lot of lowlights too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Creative process is great once the song is once you've got it figured out. But dude, like I'll there's one song on our last album I wrote 17 choruses for. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
wow.
Like that was not a fun one. But when it was but for highlights for like performances and stuff, those are like the treasures. Like, you have, yeah, you have like the finished product of whatever song, and that's a beautiful moment. But the getting to perform with certain people is like that's a treasure. Or in front of this particular audience, man, you treasure that stuff, you cherish that stuff. But for me, the huge ones for me are, yeah, I got to play for two of my musical heroes, man. I got to we played um in like, yeah, it was '08, so this is forever ago. We opened for Stained and Chevelle,
Oh
but it
wow.
was huge for me. And then this last year we went on tour with Cold, and that was our first tour, and that was like our first real tour, and that
Mm,
was like incredible. And I got to sing a song with them, you
that's
know,
so cool.
I like one of the songs I had growing up, like
Yeah.
that I was always singing. So like, man, stuff like that, that's the stuff I cherish and go like, ah, yeah, it's outside of just my creative outlet, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's it's a beautiful thing, man. Like these guys are like untouchable to me, yet now I can like I can't, I don't know the Stain guys like that, but like the Cold guys, I can call them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's such a crazy thing to me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and there are other shows like we played with 10 years, and they're awesome. Um, gosh, there've been there've been others. I'm blanking on it right now, but yeah, yeah, and are so cool to me.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And to, like you said, to be able to take those moments of looking back on the artists and bands that you grew up with, like I'm sure for you, it's almost this like you're singing on stage with one of your favorite bands. It's almost like that middle school or high school version of yourself is getting to do that. Like it's a, not
Yeah,
only do I play these, not only do I write and play these songs and tour and do all that stuff. Now it's like I get to be that fan too, that like the band that
yeah,
meant so much to me. That's so 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 cool.
dude. Yeah, if I'm feeling down, I'll watch the video of that, and dude, I was it was a terrible performance. It was like the very last did on the very last night of tour. I was singing along with all their songs because I knew it was
Mhm.
last. Blew my voice out, and but just even like hearing how terrible it is, yeah, it
Yeah,
picks me up. We did that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That was
that's so cool. That's so
so
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what would you say too? Because I know you said there's a lot of high points and low points for the people watching out there that may be, they're getting into touring, they're playing more shows and stuff like that, and they've kind of had some of those low moments where maybe four people show up, or
Yeah.
maybe you know you have a bomb set in front of people you would have hoped to impress or leave a better impression on. What's been kind of some of your, whether it's examples of moments that you've had like that, but ultimately kind of what's a good push and reminder even whenever you hit those
Mm.
kind of low points too.
That's a good question. Yeah, the lack of turnout to shows can be like really hard sometimes, or even booking shows can be. You don't get you don't get a show that you're hoping you'd get,
Right.
or it's just booking is a nightmare, um, as it is. So like that can be really disheartening.
Mm.
Um, or having like a terrible performance. Man, I had one pretty recently, um, where like I knew during my warm up that it was going to be a terrible show. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And nobody showed up. This is like the perfect combination of it. This was only a few weeks ago. When was that? Beginning of beginning of March, I think. And it was like a last minute show. They asked us to like jump on, um, as like a local support thing because the local band had dropped off.
Mm.
We jumped on, and nobody showed up. Maybe like five people or something like that.
We call that a glorified band practice.
Yeah, that's really what it was, man. And I even my band practice, like we there it was just something off all night. But I knew in warm up like my voice wasn't going to hold up,
Mm.
and it like it was just like weird. It gets a little pitchy when when I'm not like on it, feels really dry, whatever. And there were a couple points in the set where I was like, this is not going to go well. Like towards that our second to last song, there's like this sustained, like really high note, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I went to our guitar tech, like the guys do an instrumental part of this song like without me, so I can just walk away for a second. And I walked to my guitar tech while they're playing, and I said, dude, nobody's here, man. Should I go for the high note? And he said, yeah, dude, definitely do it. And I, because he'd heard me,
Right.
he had a great night. And I did it, and dude, they called it like the wild parakeet or something. Something. My noise, it just was this horrific, like screech, like puberty kind of situation, and it was awful. So that was really that moment. But stuff like that, like the bad show every now and then, or the bad turnout every now and then, you know, it's not going to be your last show. Like if you're giving it your all, what I try to always keep in mind is like if you leave it all on the stage every night, you should be proud of yourself. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's not always going to go your way. It's not always going to be a perfect set. It's not always going to be a packed room. As long as you did what you could to promote, and as long as you know, you can only do what you can do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You see like the best pitchers in baseball, man. They have some outings where they'll give up like 8 runs. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it just that they just didn't have it that day, and that's the
Right.
way it is too, man. Some days you just don't have it, and there's the next show. You know what I mean? But I think people in the audience, however small it might be, and anybody that's listening, we drove all the way up to New York City to play for the sound guy and the lady that was the bartender that night. So 2 people. We played for 2 people that worked there in New York City. Been there, done that. It's miserable, but there's the next show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, you can only control what you can control, and but yeah, where I was going with that is the people that hear you, even if you flub something, or even if you have a bad vocal night, or if you unplug your guitar or whatever by accident, like the people in the audience, they should be able to feel that you're giving it everything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? People respect that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I, I respect that as an
Yeah.
audience member.
Yeah, no, that's huge, and I love that analogy that you used. And how many times would people in any sort of, whether it's creative art within music or if it's within anything, the amount of times that those mess ups, those mishaps, those out of control things happen, it just serves such a good learning moment and a teaching moment. And I think if you were to give up on those moments, and I think unfortunately you have a lot of people that do, but I think if you press through that and you learn from it, how much that makes you so much stronger of a musician, how much makes you so much stronger of a front man, or whatever field people may be in, how much those are such learning lessons in their lives.
Dude, and if you can play that off, you know, or joke about it or whatever, the
Yeah.
audience responds to that too. And I know like in our band, we um we take our music seriously. We take our performances very seriously.
Yeah.
I don't think we take ourselves like very seriously. We joke on each other and crack on each other all the time. So
Yeah.
like if that for that show where my voice just did that terrible thing, uh everybody was like ribbing me about it, after the show. And that's part of it, like
Yeah.
you can laugh at yourself and laugh with your buddies afterwards, you know what I mean? Like just get over yourself, understand that it happened,
Yeah.
and maybe understand why it happened is, to your point, is a
Yeah.
great. We've had a lot of learning experiences at our shows, man. Like something doesn't work right or whatever, it's like, okay, well, how can we do that better next time?
Yeah.
You know, there are some times where you just don't have it, and sometimes, yeah, it's a great learning experience, man. The the way we run our show right now is a culmination of all of the mistakes we made before that, or
Yeah.
lessons before that, or however you want to look at it. It's yeah, you gotta let every show be a learning learning
Yeah.
experience. Yeah, and
Yeah.
let every downtime be a learning experience. And
Yeah.
don't don't I don't know. Don't don't get too in your feelings about it or be too hard on yourself,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's really really good. I think it's such a key thing for any person in whatever it may be that you just keep pushing through those and get stronger in whatever field it is. And so,
Yeah.
going back, I want to talk a little bit about the most recent full length you guys put out, Pluto's Ghost, which is a
Yeah.
beautiful album, by the way. Like,
Dang.
like really, really, really cool and really creative. You dive so much into the songwriting. You dive into so many different topics across it. And so talking about, I want to dive in especially into the lyric side of it, the songwriting side of it. You know, it talking about that project in and of itself, what kind of came about to put together a lot of the themes or the topics for a lot of the songs? That it kind of just happen as you wrote instrumentals, or was it you had specific things on your mind that you wanted to talk about, or the other guys in the band wanted to talk about? Kind of how did that come together?
Yeah, yeah. So most of those songs were just kind of um so I went through a really bad writer's block while I was making that album.
Hmm.
And that kind of like worked its way into a lot of the lyrics. Like I'm thinking of like Deja Vu,
Yeah.
Death is Not the End. Um, there are a lot where it's like kind of questioning wasted life, questioning like if I'm even supposed to be doing this, you know,
Mm,
what's
wow.
my purpose, or like death is not the end, for example. It's like, is this the if this is the last thing I do creatively, if it's gone from me, you know, is am I gonna be okay? You know, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But like what was going on in the moment personally, because dude, I drive myself crazy when I write. Like
Hmm.
I really like I go into this place of like really like hating myself. And I don't try to, but it just works its way out that way.
Right.
Um and you're not good enough, rethinking everything and just like trying to make everything like as good as it can be is like a really it puts a lot of strain on me.
Yeah.
And that like worked its way into the lyrics there for a lot of those songs. And there are other songs like the hardest one to talk about, but that's the only one we really talk about what it means live, I guess, is the song Heal the Heartache, which is like a different subject.
Yeah.
That one, the lyrics came before any of the music.
Right.
Normally it's music first,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
for me anyway. But our guitar tech, Cody, well, he wasn't our guitar tech at the time. He was just one of my best friends. His mother had passed away in January of this would have been 2020. Yeah, 2020. And then um, on the day of her funeral, he found out that his girlfriend was pregnant.
Wow.
It, he called me all excited about that, and it's this sad time. I mean, we were like together through this whole like process of his mom passing away, and then when he called me about his the pregnancy, like he was ecstatic, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
so um throughout that process, like through the ultrasounds and everything, they found out there was going to be like some health issues.
Mm.
Um, but everything went through, and it was like an emergency situation. At 7 months, the baby
Wow.
was coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Baby Jax was coming, and um, it poor little guy, like he lived inside of the hospital,
Yeah.
for 3 months. And I mean, he had like a rare, like he had a rare genetic disorder. He had some heart issues, and I mean, he didn't make it at 3 months
Mm.
old.
Wow.
when Cody, we knew that was coming. You know, we
Yeah.
knew he probably wasn't gonna live, but they fought with him. You know, fought for him, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Um, but when we knew that was coming, but when Cody called to tell me, you know, what we knew was gonna happen, dude, like immediately, that's how I processed that. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was, but it, in a, I had the chorus, yeah, in my head. I had the whole like um the lyrics and the melody and everything like that in my head. So I just like just went inside and wrote that song, and it was just like this, you know, it's a I don't know, it's a heartbreaker to sing live, and it's like a,
Yeah.
it rips I remember like that was when we played on tour, and dude, I freaking cried every night.
Yeah.
uh and I remember like going through like through our CD booklet, like spell checking everything and like making sure everything was placed right before we sent it to the printers, and I just started like bawling, you know,
Yeah.
when listening to that one and reading the lyrics together. And so like it's a really like all the songs are just, there's not one of them that's not like some kind of emotional thing going on,
Yeah.
or a story, you know. There are a couple of them that deal with loss. A couple of them are, I try to write it so that it's not like oh, I can't write any songs, you know, I have writer's block. I try to be like more open, you know,
Yeah.
for listening to go like you know, oh, I have wasted potential, you know, or
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going through this or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So they can connect to it too. But um yeah, but they're all, dude, all those songs are, were like brutal lyrically to write. But that's, again, those guys like Scooter from Cold and Aaron from Stain, like they showed me through their writing the importance of just putting your entire heart into your
Yeah.
uh, lyrics and melodies, and yeah, I gave it everything I had for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the good, the bad, the ugly type of thing of when you're vulnerable and open and honest about what you have going on. I think it's something so heartfelt that people just can't help but to connect with, even if they're like not the biggest fan of the song or the style or whatever. Like when you're honest and vulnerable, there's that like respect that comes with that. But you think about the people that may have not went through the specific situation for that song, for instance, that went through the exact same thing. It could be something a lot more generalized that still
Hmm.
they feel the pain that comes with that. And to
Yeah.
say, wow, that song talks about that. I didn't recognize that anybody had felt those feelings the way that I have. How much that just brings so much connection of people together and can honestly heal a lot of the wounds that people may have. And it's just the beauty of music, man. And so that's really cool. And I appreciate you like being vulnerable and sharing that as well.
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, on that note, one of the things we did when we were out with Cold was, we knew they're like an emotion driven band, and their fans, you know, their fans are, they go there to shed some tears, man.
Yeah.
That's, I'm I'm not like the most emotional guy, but when it comes to music, I really am, you know. Or
Yeah.
I'm not about my emotions usually, except for
Yeah.
with music, say that. But we knew the fans were there to be sad, so we were like, we're gonna do "Heal the Heartache." We're gonna do this song. You know, we've never played it live before, so but our buddy Cody was out with us as a guitar tech, so we brought him out to play guitar on that song, and I would tell the story of what it was about every night. And dude, you know, he and I,
I'm sure that was crazy. Yeah.
we would have our little tear moment, and then the people in the audience, like we could see them, you know, react. And Cody, it was funny because like we were the ones on tour, but he was the rock star, because like at the end of the night, everyone would come up to him and hug him, and they were shouting, "Cody, Cody!" Nobody would cheer our names, you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
like, you know, and so they'd go and hug him and share their stories with him,
Wow.
and that was such a beautiful thing. And I asked him probably halfway through, because it was like it was weighing on him and weighing on, I think it was weighing on all of us probably. And I asked him, like, dude, are you okay? You know, do we need to stop doing this song. I know it's hard, you know? And he said, no, because even though it's like opening a wound every night, this is how Jax lives on. This is how my son lives on, is by touching
Wow.
people and telling them they're not alone. Gosh, I'm getting emotional right now just thinking about it. Yeah, his story touched other people every night, you know,
Yeah.
and and then the people who might stream it or whatever might listen to it online. Like, who knows if that touches them, man? That's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it hurts to write, that's a good thing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because that might be that moment for somebody else. It was that moment for me when I was listening to, my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Go, man, like they're that's they're talk. It's like they're speaking my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's hurt. It hurts, but it's a beautiful thing. And
Yeah.
for Cody, it's a beautiful thing. And we got to play it for you know, his like what his now wife, uh, Michaela, who was Jax's mother. Like we
Yeah.
we played it for her, and that was really hard. But it's like a moment. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like a powerful moment. So it's a sad song. It's a powerful,
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. And that, I mean, gosh, I couldn't imagine like being in his shoes and being able to recognize the power of it, of you saying like, this is how he lives on. Like, that's such a beautiful testament to you
Mm,
guys for how you're there for him, but it's such a beautiful testament to him as a person as
yeah,
well, of, his mindset with that. That's so incredible.
absolutely. Yeah, he's a great dude, man. We've had our share of emotional nights.
Yeah. Yeah. But and it shows the beautiful, like the community that comes together with music
Mm,
and
mm,
what it kind of creates on its own. And I think it's such an uplifting thing, even though it can be such a dark, negative emotional thing. It does ultimately bring people together and can bring healing, can
yeah,
make people not feel so alone in the midst of whatever they got going on.
absolutely, man.
Yeah. So on the note of kind of how music does bring people together and things like that, I know you guys are consistently doing shows, and
Mhm.
and following you guys on social media, seeing how connected you are in that way with stuff. What's kind of the next steps for you guys? Kind of what's coming up, different shows, whether it be writing, anything like that you guys kind of have coming up here in the near future. What's kind of the state of illusion right now?
Nice, nice. Yeah,
That was a cringe segue,
no, I like
but
I like it. Um, yeah, we've got a couple shows. We've got a bunch of shows coming up. Not as many as we'd like, but let's see. I don't know when this will be airing, but we're going to Richmond on the 22nd to play with Solaris. I hope I'm pronouncing their name right. Asylum 213, I believe.
Mhm.
And then we're playing Somerville, South Carolina in June. We've got a couple June things. Some of them haven't been announced yet. We've got a little July of our own, uh, and which can't talk about the dates yet for that, but it's not very long. And then just one offs here and there, and we're writing at the same time. I
Yeah.
think we've got 3 songs done. We've got a really cool feature. I don't really like features, but like I
Mhm.
got some really cool that wanted to be on a song, so um stoked on that. And yeah, just working on the new stuff, man. I'm
Yeah.
really excited about it.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. That's exciting to hear too. And so, getting ready for all those, how people can kind of stay connected, stay up to date with
Mhm.
a lot of the things that you guys have going on. What's the best ways that people who are listening that may not be connected with you guys, what's the best way for them to do that?
Stateofillusionmusic.com has a link to all of our socials, but yeah, all of our socials, just search for State of Illusion, and I hope we're the only one. We were when I made them, uh, and but that was 20 years ago, like we said. So yeah, that'd be the easiest way.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And so one of the big things I like to do, kind of
Mhm.
wrapping up the end of a podcast, is for somebody who is in your shoes, who has a lot of experience within the realm of songwriting, music production, all the things that kind of go in the ins and outs. What would be some advice that you would give somebody out there who is an aspiring musician or songwriter, or somebody who really wants to take their musical endeavors to the next level? Just based on what you've experienced in your life, what would be a big takeaway you would give to somebody like that?
That's a great question. Record yourself. Well, first of all, when you're writing, put like everything, um, put all of yourself into your music. Like don't be shy. Put all of your heart into every song.
Yeah.
Um, that's my advice for writing. But like for uh, growing as a musician and a songwriter, what has helped me more than anything is record yourself. There's free software out there. There are cheap microphones, and yeah, a lot of people, you can use your cell phone as a microphone.
Yeah.
Record yourself to a click, to a metronome, and like be very, very critical of yourself. You know,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Because that's how you grow. Is you hear like, "Ooh, that was be objectively critical." Maybe that's the word. Is
Yeah.
like, uh, you know, you can hear, "Ooh, that was a sour note," or "I don't like how I hit that note," or maybe I'm not as tight on guitar as I'd like to be, or
Right.
when you listen back, um, not everything you do is gold, right? So
Yeah.
um, so look at the things you do well when you record yourself and improve on those, um, and then look at the things you don't do well, and kind of ask yourself what made that you know what made that performance bad, or or
Right.
or what's not working here. And it might be like learning how to structure your song differently,
Yeah.
learning how to melody differently, because maybe that note isn't in your wheelhouse, or maybe it's maybe just a way you use your voice, as like an inflection or whatever is not working for this, or being able to listen objectively,
Yeah.
or as objectively as you can,
Right.
can make you change a lot of the ways you attack things. So
Yeah.
that would be my biggest bit of advice. And then play shows,
Yeah.
uh, see if people respond to your stuff, uh, and if they do, that's awesome. And if they don't, keep doing what you love to do. You
Yeah.
know, the music for you. Your art is yours.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good, man. Yeah. And I mean, such great advice. And I mean, I will double down on all of that and just say like the that consistency, man, and just continuing to try and get better. It's how all of us get better. I mean, any one person at any craft doesn't even have to be just music. I mean, the more you do it, the more you're going to make mistakes, the more you're going to have learning moments and stuff. And so it all the process, like enjoying, I harp on it all the time, of just enjoying the journey of whatever it is, not just seeking an end destination. Like the whole process is the most fun part of, especially in music, man. It's such a
Yeah,
beautiful thing.
I was talking to somebody the other day about how once you accomplish a task, it's never good enough, right?
Yeah.
Like, or it's maybe not never good enough. It's you can't wait to do it again or go to the next thing. Like
Yeah.
we were specifically talking about shows, and I was like, man, I said if I can open for this band one time, I'll be happy. But I wasn't happy after that one time. I was happy that it happened. Now I need to do it again. Now I
Yep.
need to do it more. Now I need to play a bigger show. Now I need to,
Yeah.
uh never, like, yeah, don't let that hunger stop, right?
Yeah.
You're always learning. once you learn that one guitar technique or whatever, there's going to be that next technique that you're going to want to
Yep.
learn, like absorb it.
Yep. Yeah, that's huge, man. Well, yeah. Before I close out and everything real quick, here's what we're gonna close out with. I'm gonna put you rapid fire on the spot. Didn't give you any sort of heads up. I need you to give me your top five, or no, let's top three. That way we give it a little bit more summarized. Top three best Stained songs. We're gonna come up with Stained out of your ones right here. I want to put you on.
Golly.
I'm gonna put you in the hot seat right now.
Reality, man. No, reality is my favorite.
Mhm.
Um, Golly, dude. Take It is great. Take
Uh-huh.
This too. I'll say Take It and Take This. Yeah, those are my
There you
three for that.
go. A man of the
Yeah.
people. That's what we like to see right there. Good stuff, man. Well, Jacob, I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with me and taking time out of your day to come and talk with me and then talk with everybody here. And, for anybody that's viewing or listening or watching this, that it's coming because Jacob is the incredibly talented dude that he is, and State of Illusion is just incredible. Thank you guys for jumping in, as well as if you're just jumping in and you haven't connected with State of Illusion and what they're doing, man, jump on it. Like, subscribe to all the YouTube, keep up on Spotify, Apple, wherever you guys are listening to music. Keep up with those guys there. And so, yeah, man, just want to say thank you so much for taking time and hanging out with me, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you're watching, thank you so much for checking out this episode of The Writer's Block. We appreciate it a ton. Be sure to subscribe to Creative Corner Co., where all this is powered through by them, and then keep up wherever you're listening through Apple Podcasts, through Spotify, all those outlets. We appreciate it a ton that you hung out with us, and be sure to stay tuned for what we have coming next. And we will see you guys next time.